Reading with your kids.
Hey, so great to see you. Come on in. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so happy that you're part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Please be sure to connect to us on Facebook, facebook.com @Reading with Your Kids. On Twitter, it's @JedleyMagic, and on Instagram, it's @Reading with Your Kids. Our guest today is the author of the Grossest Picture Book Ever. We're welcoming back our friend, Derek Taylor Kent. We are really excited to welcome Derek back to the show, and we're really excited to be going out to the Chicago Toy and Game Fair November 23rd and 24th on Navy Pier in Chicago. This is going to be an amazing event. Your kids are going to have a chance to play with life-size toys and games. They're going to have a chance to meet inventors. They're going to have a chance to meet authors. And they're going to get a chance to know what it's like to be a guest on the Reading with Your Kids podcast. That's right. Come on over to our totally interactive booth and find out what it's like to be a guest on the podcast. And you can save $3 on every ticket that you purchase by going to shytag.com. That's CHITAG.com, shytag.com, and using the promo code RWYK, the Reading with Your Kids initials, RWYK. And you can save $3 on every ticket. There's no limit as to how many tickets you can buy. You can buy tickets for your kid's entire soccer team, every kid at your kid's dance class, every kid at the dance studio. Bring them all over. We're all going to have a great time. It's the Chicago Toy and Game Fair, November 23rd and 24th on Navy Pier. We told you one of the things we're going to be doing at the Chicago Toy and Game Fair is inviting families to check out some of the books that we will have displayed at our booth, and then come on and record a quick little review, and you'll be getting an MP3 file, a great souvenir of that interview that you recorded with intros and outros. It's going to be a great souvenir you can keep and play for all of your friends. We're also going to be using some of those interviews on future episodes of the podcast. Now, one of the things that we're going to be inviting families to check out while they're at the Chicago Toy and Game Fair is the Storied app. I had such a great time out at the Orange County Children's Book Festival. Derek Taylor Kent was out there with me, and we were inviting folks to check out the Storied app. The Storied app is this fantastic app that goes right in your phone that will turn you into a storytelling superhero. That's right. The Storied app has all these fantastic stories. They're all designed to be read in 5 minutes, so perfect at bedtime. And they're created for you to read to your kid. This isn't something that you hand the device to your kid and let the device be your kid's babysitter. No, this is an app that's going to help you grow closer to your kids because they have these wonderful, wonderful stories. The stories come from some amazing authors from all over the world. And I love the way that they're organized on the app. If you're looking for a story to talk to your kids about kindness, those stories are right there. If you're looking for a story that will introduce your kids to for different cultures from different parts of the world, those stories are there too. It really is fantastic. So if you're at the Chicago Toy and Game Fair, we're going to invite you to open up your phone, check out the app for free, check out the free section, and let us know what you think about it. We'd love to invite you to check out the Storied app and let us know what you think about it. You can do it at trystoried.com. That's right, trystoried.com. Join us on the line right now from sunny Southern California. He's one of my buddies. He's been here on the show a number of times. He's back to celebrate his brand new book, The Grossest Picture Book Ever. Please welcome back to the show, Derek Taylor Kent. Derek, how are you?
I'm feeling real gross today. How are you doing?
Well, I just finished eating, so of course I'm gross. I just had the pleasure of
it up with this podcast. All right.
There you go. There you go. I just had the pleasure of after knowing Derek for a couple of years here through the podcast, had the pleasure of meeting Derek out at the Orange County Children's Book Festival. Fantastic time, and it was really great to meet my friend in person. It was really great to see the book, as you folks out there made, not you personally, but everybody who met me made fun of the way I spoke and assuming that I talk with that Boston accent you folks all think I have. It was really great to see the Grossest Picture Book Ever. What a great, fun-looking book.
Thank you so much. I was really trying to write something that would make kids laugh. You know, that's what my goal is, to make them fall in love with reading through laughter. And I found that when I was doing stuff with my little cousins and nephews, it's like nothing makes them laugh more than potty humor. And so I thought I'd try and, elevate it a little in the form of a picture book that also has some nice messages to it.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. I mean, if you want to catch the attention of a little kid, especially a little boy, although increasingly little girls love gross kind of body humor too. A good joke about BO or other bodily functions in good taste, it really captures their attention. And I have my idea of why that is. Why do you think kids just love this stuff?
I think partly is because they see that it always gets a reactions from adults, like people like their parents, older brothers and sisters, and they see that it grosses them out. I think that they like the idea that they have some kind of power over adults to get an emotional reaction from them.
Yeah,
and they are learning about their bodies and what it does, and it's like it makes these weird smells, and it does these weird things, and it can be a little bit weird and confusing to a kid. So if you're able to make light of it and make fun of it in a way and find the humor in it, it kind of helps them feel okay about it and not be too freaked out by things that their body can do.
I absolutely agree with you, which is, why it always boggled my mind when, because some adults, if they hear kids making those kind of jokes, they just freak out. And it's like, your kids are just curious. It's just natural for kids to be curious about this stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I can see, a part of it is teaching them there's a time and a place for these kind of things, and you don't want it. And sometimes kids can get carried away with it and do nothing but those jokes, and then, it makes you want to have to show them that there's a time and place for it. But I think there is a time and place for it. And if you can use things that they naturally find funny, this is things that humans have found funny for probably millions of years, It's like our ape ancestors were probably laughing when their friends would fart, right?
Yes.
It's ingrained in us in our biology.
I have this one of the funniest moments when my son was being baptized. The priest was holding on to him, and my son let loose with a great one that was picked up by the priest's body mic, and it just reverberated all over the whole church. And folks were laughing in two different languages. It was wonderful. So what was it?
Happens when you're a kid and not a grown up, for sure, because that's when you can kind of be proud of it rather than mortified if it happened when you're older.
Absolutely. Now, did you have any hesitation when you had the idea for creating the Grossest Picture Book Ever? Was there a part of you that said, no, I shouldn't be doing this, or it's going to be too many adults getting mad at me?
I kind of did, and I worry about how it would be, how people's reactions to it in terms of I don't want my kid getting into something like that, because it could lead to more and more of those kinds of jokes, or feeling like it's okay to make not dirty jokes, but toilet potty humor jokes, and a lot of times like, oh, like they do that enough already. I don't want more. I'm trying to get them off of that. Like I think part of kids growing up is weaning them away from that type of humor. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, for kids of a certain age, that's perfectly fine. So that's why I wanted, for kids but sometimes parents and kids of a certain age, it's healthy. And so I'm really aiming at those, age groups and those parents who aren't, maybe not as squeamish about it, but I'm using it as a vehicle for, having lessons about both environmentalism and, inspiring loves of reading. So I think that if kids can be intimidated by books, and when they're starting to read a little bit longer books, they can feel really intimidating. So I'm just trying to show them that, books can be really fun and funny, and that you can find books that appeal to whatever type of humor you have. If you like potty humor, this is for you. And if you're not into it, that's perfectly okay too. Mm-hmm. Me and my wife Sherry have totally different kinds of books.
And the wife that Derek is referring to is our friend, our favorite mermaid, Sherry Fink. We just celebrated the little dragon with her. Now, you mentioned a couple of things. You mentioned fart jokes and teaching environmentalism. I gotta ask you, how do you teach environmentalism with fart jokes?
Oh, that is a great question. That was my big challenge with this book. So I felt like the subject matter kind of lent itself to it in a way. With the first character we meet in the book, his name is Larry Magoo, who has a truck made of poo. It stinks when it starts, and it's powered by farts. But then you go on to learn that this truck that he's created out of poo only has an exhaust of stinkified steam. So it's good for the environment, even though it makes a mess everywhere.
Now,
so it was like, we could use this idea of since he made a truck and it's made of poo, but we can talk about how, trucks have a bad emission problem. But if we can learn about, it kind of introduces the idea that trucks can.
Absolutely.
And then we learn about Libby Sue Roaches, who has 1 million pet roaches, and they go around cleaning up all the poo on the streets that the truck creates and keeping everything pretty. So it shows how you can actually, cleaning up is an important part. Cleaning up after yourself and cleaning up after your messes is an important part of taking care of the environment.
Absolutely.
And then you meet, my favorite character is Benjamin Blott, who has a house made of snot. And so he made his house out of snot because he didn't want to have to, cut down a bunch of trees to make his house like every other house has to be done with. So it teaches kids about the deforestation, how you can have alternatives to that. So with every gross character you meet in the book, you find out how they're actually, despite their grossness, helping with the environment in some weird way.
Did you ever imagine when you were in college or high school that one day your biggest challenge would be figuring out how to use fart jokes to teach environmentalism?
No, I didn't think I'd be doing that. That's for sure.
But what a great situation you're. I mean, really, when you think about it, I'm imagining that you're one of those kids who love this kind of humor, and if you can grow up and be challenged and to create a masterpiece of grossness like the Grossest Picture Book Ever, that would be kind of a dream come true.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's the more children's books I write, this is like my 13th one now, I think. The more you kind of get into that child's mindset in their head and, just rediscovering that part of that humor within yourself. Mm-hmm. I've been writing those middle grade scary school books forever, and for those books, I had to kind of rediscover what was scary to me as a kid and then find ways to make it fun and funny. So I never kind of lost that inner child aspect of myself. So when I'm writing, it feels like I'm 11-year-old me all over again, who's just writing things to make his friends laugh. And so when I do it, I'm just back in that self, and I feel like I just kind of inherently feel what would be funny to that age group.
That's really wonderful, and that comes across, I think, in your writing that you're not talking down to kids. Your writing really is relatable to kids, and I think really connects with kids, and I think that's one reason it's so popular.
Yeah, I like to oftentimes write as author as character, like with my scary school books is written as a Derek the Ghost. Like that's what helped me get into that voice, because that's really hard for people to find that voice where they can convincingly write for that age group. And that's what the publisher told me. The first thing that was that, it's rare that we can find someone who actually can speak in that 7 to 12-year-old voice. And to do it, I created a character as the narrator who was actually an 11-year-old ghost. Mm-hmm. And for this one, you're being guided through the town of Gross by a couple of kids also who are telling you all about it and how much they love it. So a lot of times it helps creating a narrator as a young child to help you, so you know that everything that comes out of their mouths has to be something that's authentically for that age group and your target audience.
Yeah. What drew you to writing for children in the first place?
I think it kind of drew on my biggest strengths. Was like, first of all, was my imagination. So that's what kind of set me apart from everyone else ever since I was like 7 years old, was I had a really big imagination. And I also loved making my friends laugh. So I love the idea that children's book writing is like just where you can really let your imagination go wild and nothing is off limits. The only limit's your own imagination. So I just get to be inside my own imagination, think of crazy things, and then just like making kids laugh. I don't think there's anything better I think someone can do with their life than like bring children joy and laughter. Now,
did you have folks, either teachers or family members, that were really supportive of you using that imagination? Because a lot of times, the really imaginative kid in grade school and middle school, the really funny kid in grade school, can get himself in a lot of trouble. Did you find yourself getting yourself in trouble, or were the adults in your life really supportive of that aspect of your personality?
I had mostly, I think, a lot of support, which is why I guess I was so willing to jump into it head first and not really care what anyone else thought about it, Mm-hmm. One of my biggest influences was my 6th grade teacher, and Miss Russell, who I still would keep in contact with. She was encouraging us to do a lot of extra credit by writing skits about things we were learning and perform them for the class. And I never had that opportunity, just kind of like do things I wanted, whatever I wanted to do. And we could even like draw cartoons for extra credit and, write songs, do performances. It's like anything we wanted to do creatively, we're allowed to express, and share for the class. And that kind of launched me because I always wanted to do those kind of things, but I never had any outlet for it. Wow. I remember that one particular teacher gave me that first outlet for it and showed me that I could make my class laugh, almost like every day we would do something for like in our class. And my is actually an artist, and she worked for like Star Wars and Disney and Warner Brothers. And she ended up becoming really successful as I was growing up. So I had an example of someone who was in the arts and being really successful. And I wasn't a very good drawer or painter like she was, but she really supported anything creative. Like it was like the best thing in the world.
That's awesome. I think it's so important for us to support our kids. And when you think about what a courageous teacher, just kind of giving 6th graders, not necessarily complete free reign, but, just welcoming them to come up and to present their ideas to the classmates and to show off their talents.
Yeah, when I was 15 years old, I remember very specifically getting re-obsessed with Dr. Seuss. I just rediscovered his books, and I've been writing funny poems pretty much my entire life, ever since I could write. And I realized after reading, kind of getting obsessed with Dr. Seuss again, that I could craft them into like longer stories and books. And I very luckily at that time had a teacher, a creative writing class I was doing in high school, who showed me how I could really focus on rhythm and meter, and taught me all about storytelling at the exact right time. So as soon as I learned that and I started working on it, was when I knew I wanted to write children's books for a living when I was about 15 years old.
Wow.
So teachers had a huge influence on me, and it was like my 6th grade teacher and my high school creative writing teacher, Mr. Cooper Mead.
I'm curious. You said that you kept in touch with Miss Russell. Have you ever had the chance to go back to her class and share your talents with some of her students?
Yeah, actually, I have visited some of my old teachers' classes. They've a lot of times moved around to different schools. My old school shut down; it doesn't even exist anymore. But I do keep in contact with them and how they were and things they were doing. I remember after I left, I kept in contact with her and found out she created this really awesome system in her classrooms based on Star Wars, where they were earning Jedi points and trying to achieve the rank of Jedi. So she used all these amazing creative things in her class to get them excited about learning, and it also gets them to, we never had any behavioral issues in our classes because kids were just so excited about all the fun things going on every day and wanted to be part of it and not distract from it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's the one thing you would suggest if there's a parent out there who has this kid who they know, this kid has a great imagination, he's really, really funny. He or she's a little shy, doesn't want to share that. I really want to support this child's imagination and help him or her find their voice. What advice would you give to that parent to support that creative spark in their child?
That's so interesting you'd ask that. We just had an experience like that this weekend, where my cousin has a 6-year-old child, and we were over there. Me and Sherry were over at their house for dinner, and he got really into some of our books. Like he was apparently likes to be read my bilingual book El Perro con Sombrero every night, and just really excited that we were coming over there to talk to us about the books. And he started kind of talking that mentioning to us that he had some ideas for stories, and then we started talking to him about how we create our books, and he can write them down and create his own books, and that got him so excited that just a few days later, we all were together at her brother's wedding, and he had created the entire book, done the illustrations, had them write it out for him, and during the speeches for everyone, during the toast, he got up and read the book for the whole wedding, and he was so excited about it. And the parents were telling me they'd never seen him so excited about anything before. And he has an older brother, and I think a lot of times he maybe felt like he was in his older brother's shadow growing up, and this gave him something that made him feel special and different and gave him a chance to shine for the first time. So I think it's when you see a child gets excited about something, no matter what it is, you can give them resources and outlets so that they can use it in a positive way, whatever it is, to get involved in sciences, to get involved in sports, and to get involved in storytelling and reading. So if he has an idea for a story, that's amazing, let's write it down and create something and share it with people.
That is amazing.
I think just giving them that opportunity.
Yeah, and it's so, you mentioned that you're creating a book. We're living in a time where, your child could create the pictures, create the story, and you could actually create a book, a real live bound book, with not a lot of cost and not a lot of time and not a lot of technical expertise.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely didn't have those resources that exist now when I was a kid.
Neither did I. I don't think we had color when I was growing up.
Even if you have a Xerox machine, kids love it. Like they don't know the difference. Like you can make copies of it and hand it out and sell them on the street corners, or to their friends. I have friends who used to do that with comics. They used to make their own little comic books and make copies of them and sell them to other kids in the school.
Yeah, well,
and Sherry used to do that as a kid. She made her own books and wanted to share them with people. There's something, I think, inherently in every creative child that makes them want to share their work with the world.
Yeah.
And that's such a great thing.
Yeah. Well, don't tell anybody this, Derek, but when I was in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, me and a couple of my buddies used to do these, what we called tape radio shows, and we would tape them on cassette and share them with each other. And I look back, I'm like going, wow, we were making podcasts back when we were taking horses to schools.
Yeah, you were the very first podcasters.
I don't know if we're the first. Well, is it?
It was a naughty pick back then.
Yeah. Well, I know that the grossest picture book ever has it just released. It's just hot off the press. But is it too early to ask if there's a new project underway?
No, it's not. Yeah, I do have a new project, and it's in the illustration phase right now, and it'll be coming out in March. Very excited for that. It's my first dinosaur book.
Whoa!
It's a dinosaur picture book.
That's excellent.
And I love dinosaurs. A lot of kids do, but I loved it so much I actually took classes in it in college to learn more about it and go on fossil digs. And my wife Sherry took me on a fossil dig hunt for my birthday this year.
Awesome.
So I always wanted to be a paleontologist. Kind of my childhood dream, and I kind of got to live it in real life, and now with this book coming out in March.
That's fabulous. Now, were you like me and were blown away when the paleontologists started coming out with their thoughts that dinosaurs are more related to birds than they are reptiles?
Oh yeah, I mean, I first got into that when I read Jurassic Park back in the early 90s, and I thought that was just so cool. And so when I'm doing my new book, it's so great that all the new dinosaur books kind of have to be updated to reflect that, because you look at all the new images of what they think dinosaurs look like, and most of them are covered in weird feathers and look really weird.
Awesome. Well, I know folks are going to want to know more about the Grossest Picture Book Ever and all of your other work, 13 children's books. Tell us where we can connect with you online.
Thanks so much. There's our company's website, Whimsical World, that me and my wife created. That's at whimsicalworldbooks.com. All of our stuff is, of course, on Amazon, and on social media, you could find us at Whimsical World Books. And I'm at Derek Taylor Kent, D-E-R-E-K for Derek. And yeah, so find me online and on social media, and you can keep track of all of our crazy adventures and events that we do. We do stuff pretty much every weekend, fun stuff that we have for kids all over the country now. So it's, we love connecting with our fans and inspiring kids to fall in love with reading.
Yes, and Derek and Sherry are doing so many great things, and if you catch them at a live event, it really is amazing. Like I said, I had a chance to meet both of them and experience some of the magic that they create at these events. So if you have a chance to see them live, or if you're looking for some live entertainment to make your school event or community event even more amazing, you should definitely check out the Whimsical World.
Thank you so much, Jedley.
We've been having such a great time talking about the grossest picture book ever, or as we say in Boston, ever, with the author Derek Taylor Kent. Derek, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks so much, Jedley. Keep it gross.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Jeanette Paxia. She will be here to tell us about her beautiful children's book, You Are a Superhero. If you are the author of a fantastic children's book, you may have been surprised when that book was published and you discovered that you are now the head of marketing for that book. It really is true. It doesn't matter if you are published by the largest publishing house in the world. You are responsible to help sell that book. And if you are an independent publisher, well, it can seem really daunting because you have to do the whole thing by yourself. Well, no, actually, you don't have to do the whole thing by yourself. There's ways that we can help you. One of those ways that we can help your book stand out amongst the crowd is our Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program. We have a fantastic team of evaluators. They're kids, their parents, their educators. If they believe that your book is worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, it becomes a certified great read. And with that status comes a number of fantastic tools that can really help your book stand out from the crowd. And when I'm talking about a crowd, there is literally a crowd of books. Thousands of children's books published actually tens of thousands of children's books published every year. So it's hard to really get your book noticed. Well, we can help you. The Certified Great Read program from the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Check it out today at readingwithyourkids.com. We want to thank Derek Taylor Kent for being here today and help us have a gross old time. Be sure to check out the Grossest Picture Book Ever. I want to thank my producer, Fatima Khan, for all she does for the show. Be sure to check out her blog at readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all of the support that she gives me, and I want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and as always, thank you so much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking through the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.